Let's discuss transaction members and how they can be used for your clients and for your internal team when managing a transaction. It also allows you to connect vendors so everything's in one place when you need to get a hold of someone. When a transaction is created, you'll notice on the transaction overview page, there's a section called Transaction Members. Here's where all the members for the transaction will display. You can control the permissions for each member in the documents and files. Adding a transaction member will either allow that team member to view that transaction on their CRM, or if a client or vendor is connected, if they have an account connected with their contact profile, it will allow them to view that on the public website with their login. Adding a transaction member is simple. Just click the Add button and select whether you want a client or staff member. For this example, we'll choose a client. And then we'll select a role. The roles include buyers, sellers, tenants and landlords, escrow officers, listing broker and listing agent, or the representing broker or agent, transaction coordinators, contractors, title company, loan assistants. So it allows you to easily create and manage the roles of each person associated with that property. For this example, we'll say this is the buyer of the transaction and click Save. If the contact's not set up yet, you can always either add a contact here, which will generate the Add Lead modal and allow you to input their information. To edit the contact, you can either delete them by clicking the X button here, or you can click Edit, which allows you to modify their staff roles. Only one customer can be used as the main client for the transaction. That doesn't mean that they cannot see or other members cannot see the transaction, and you can manage those permissions per each specific category. You can also manage those permissions for client members in the Edit Profile of the transaction, where you'll click Edit Transaction here, and you'll see the transaction settings. These settings will allow the member to view different sections of the transaction. Let's go to one of the contacts to see an example of what it will look like to the contact. We'll open up the MICTest profile. On his profile, we'll notice a transaction tab. This will then show all the associated transactions connected with that contact. And if I wanted to view what it looks like when the contact logs in, I can click on the Options menu and log in as client, which will pull up the front end web page and log you in as that contact. Now we are temporarily logged in as the client. Here we can see that the client's login for MICTest Testinger and open up their customized menu. On this menu, you'll see My Deals and My Transactions. And here is what the client would see when they log in with their email address. They'll notice the 4 different transactions, and then we can click into the details of each one. Here is where the permissions of editing the transaction will toggle on and off these tabs here to limit what the client can view. Currently, they can view all access of the transaction, which includes the transaction where they can see the team members, transaction description, general details on the status of the transaction, the type, the start and end date. If you click on Files, this will allow the client to upload files or view any publicly shared files with themselves. We'll get into files in the next section. They can also see actions, timesheets, milestones, add to a discussion and a chat here, and then see billing and activity. This is a great way for clients to stay on top of transactions and know exactly what's going on at all times. It also simplifies team members and agents because they don't have to double communicate or triple communicate with different members. You can add files or put notes here, and every member will have access to it.